What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some big news that came out involving China that is not the best for the markets, and also something else that's super important about what these charts are doing. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposits $2,000, you're guaranteed 30, and the offer ends very soon at the end of March. So anyways, what on earth is happening with the markets? What's going on so far? I just want to say that the market's in a very, very critical place. We were trying to push very, very nicely, but I just want to say that I would be very careful with some news that just came out. And we also have another catalyst that could cause some volatility. So let's talk about this. Today is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. At 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's about 30 minutes after the stock market opens, we have the JOLTS job openings and job quits report, which could cause some volatility. So please get ready for this. This is going to likely cause a big move. This will give us more insights about how the labor market is doing, and we'll see what these job numbers end up causing. So just keep that in mind. This morning, the market's a little bit lackluster because we got some news that came out last night. China is now launching limited tariffs against the U.S. after the U.S. has imposed tariffs on them. So the tariff war or trade war, whatever you want to call it, is still continuing. Basically, what happened was Donald Trump has imposed a 10% tariff on Chinese imports, and that has led to China trying to retaliate. So going down here, you guys could see that China has announced that as the tariffs have taken into effect, they're going to be once again including a 15% levy on U.S. coal and LNG, not to mention a 10% for crude oil, farm equipment, small numbers of trucks, as well as big sedans shipped to China from the US. They also said that they want to start an anti-monopoly investigation into Alphabet's Google, and they mentioned different tariffs coming into effect. The 10% duty China announced on electric trucks imported from the US could also apply to Elon Musk's Cybertruck, and they talked about other tariffs affecting billions of dollars worth of American goods. So they're retaliating with higher tariffs that range between 10 and 15% on particular goods, and they're going to try to they're going to raise tariffs on American goods now, and this is just their way of retaliating. So this will have a big effect on profit margins for different companies. It's going to be affecting the US's profitability when it comes to our own tariffs and factors just like that. This is very important to note. This will have a big effect on American businesses, and the market's response has not been the greatest so far. It did dip a little bit. We're seeing buyers who are still trying to defend despite this, so we'll see how it ends up going. But don't forget, another big factor is going to be the JOLTS report that comes out at 10 a.m. For more news, please know that we have PayPal announcing earnings, or they just announced their earnings. And then after market close today, we have AMD, Alphabet, and Snap. Alphabet's going to be the biggest one of the day. But for PayPal, so far, shining lights on potential earnings because they've done relatively well. Their EPS was at $1.19 adjusted above expectations. Revenues at $8.37 billion above expectations. Not bad whatsoever. They also announced a $15 billion share buyback program. And then last but not least, they also announced that they have good first quarter expectations with EPS at about $1.15 to $1.17 per share, which is above what expectations were looking at. And then also their revenue is not bad. So good job, guys. Good job by PayPal. This is a good sign for big tech earnings. As far as tariffs go, there's a lot of turbulence right now. Don't forget that the Mexican and Canadian tariffs are not necessarily out of the water. They're just delayed by about 30 days. And the ones that came out on China are leading to some retaliation. So keep that in mind. Besides that, there's nothing else that's too crazy on the news. I'm just going to focus on the charts from this point on. So anyways, as far as SPY is going, I want to say that we had a high here, came down, made a somewhat lower high, came down. This could be a lower high. It depends if we could take out 600 or not. So when we open, there might be an attempt to push a little bit, but we'll have to see if we could break these EMAs. We want to see it break 601 at the very least or close above that for us to remain bullish. If SPY can't do that, there's going to be a risk of us just kind of turning back down towards the 595 area, if not below. So please be very careful. I anticipate there's going to be a small push upon open, but then if we can't break past that 601 area, if we kind of push towards this, we could turn back down to 595 and continue to shuffle within this range for some time. So just keep that in mind. Same thing with the QQQ. Now, the QQQ has done a great job of trying to push, but just like SPY, it's in a very, very critical place. So we're going to be watching to see how this develops, at least as time goes on. Just know that for the QQQ, we're going to attempt to try to push for about the 521 area. I would love to see us try to break and hold above that to remain bullish. If we can't do that, the main support's at 516. So there's a range between 521 and 516. If we end up losing 516, expect a dip closer to about 510. So be careful with the QQQ. We're in a range right now. I think that this is going to be heavily dictated by earnings and factors like that. So it's going to be waiting. But for the shorter term, before earnings come out, we got this news involving China increasing tariffs on the US. So that could lead to a little bit of volatility right now, possibly some downside, but not a guarantee. It matters more about how well it holds above its levels. If it can't do that, there's going to be that risk of it returning back down towards these lower areas as well. So keep that in mind, guys. Looking back at this, make sure you watch for an attempt to push to 521. If we can't hold above that, I think we return to about 516 or below. For the Russell, we had a high here, came down. This could be a lower high. We'll see. Unless we reclaim 225, this is at risk of tipping to about 222. So please be careful. This could be a lower high that's being made here before it comes back down. ES is trying to push here, doing a good job, but we need to break 60.50 to really start pushing for closer to 6100. If we can't hold above 60.50, there's going to be a risk of us kind of hitting resistance and then turning back down towards below 6,000, all the way down to like 5980. So we'll see. Look for 60.35 to be tested and potential rejection back down to 6,000 and 5980. That could lead to a little bit more downside, especially as we have this imbalance down here. So watch that very, very closely, especially as time goes on. For NQ, making lower highs, we need to break 21,500 to really start pushing. If we don't break this, there's going to be a risk of it's turning back down towards 22,000, or sorry, 21,200, excuse me, guys. So basically, you want to see it break past these EMAs to be bullish, to make a move like this. If we can't hold above these EMAs, if we get rejected beforehand and we don't hold above 21,500, this is going to be at risk of turning back down towards 21,200. So please be careful with NQ. Might push upon open, but if we can't hold above this support, we might dip. It depends on the economic calendar, our earnings and factors like that. So keep that in mind. Bitcoin needs to hold above 101,000. If it can't, it could be dipping back down to about 95,000. For Nvda, I would love to see it reclaim 120 to be bullish, but what's happening is we got some negative news from Wedbush, who are saying that the chip ecosystem could be disrupted by these tariffs. So, this could lead to a temporary move down. We need to try to get back above 117. Otherwise, this may slowly inch its way down to 115 again. I'm seeing a little bit of weakness on Tesla, on the other hand, and it's literally just shuffling around the 200 EMA at 386. This could be dipping closer to about 380 and then eventually 374 if that fails us. To be bullish, you want to get back above 390, but I just want to say that it's going to likely shuffle here. There's going to be a risk of some downside because of the fact that China wants to increase their tariffs as well. Apple got this rejection. We need to hold above essentially 226. If we lose this, it's going to be a risk of dipping towards this imbalance at 222. And for bullish, you want to get back up to about 233. This is at risk of dipping a little bit lower, so just be a little bit careful. For coin is very flat right here. We have 288 and 277 as our range. We're going back and forth between these levels. If we can't hold above 288, we might be dipping to about the 277 zone, so just be careful. Amazon might push for about 240. We'll see if we reject or not off of this, but overall, we're just in a range. So watch and see how things end up going. For Meta, we have resistance at 700. We'll have to see if we break past this to get to 710. It still looks bullish. If we don't break it, though, there's going to be a risk of us retesting 685. So keep that in mind. We still look bullish nonetheless at the time I'm recording this. Microsoft looks a bit more bullish as long as we're above 412. We're looking for an attempt to get up to about 415 and eventually that 420 area. And Google is very flat right now, but it could try to push for essentially 206. So I see potential in this. So we'll give this some time to develop. As far as the VIX goes, we do have this gap to fill, so this could be signifying the market may push a bit. But my question is not about will the market push, it's about can the market sustain these levels, right? Can we push and then hold above our EMAs on SPY, on the QQQ, on Tesla, or are we going to push a little bit and get a rejection, right? It all depends on this JOLTS report. It also depends on the reaction we get from the Chinese tariffs. So we'll see, guys. Be very, very careful. Look for a push to start things off. I think the market pumps a little bit higher, but then there's going to be a risk of a possible rejection if we can't hold above our EMAs. If we can't hold above these key levels, so just be very, very careful. There was some negative news, so we'll see what happens with the tariffs. And we'll see what happens with the JOLTS report at 10 a.m. So get ready for some volatility. Until then, guys, have a good day and peace out.